Hello again. Welcome to another lesson in drafting two-dimension using our Autodesk AutoCAD web application. Welcome fourth period. Here we go. I want to continue on with what we talked about last Thursday and Friday in class, and we focused on what you're looking at here. This is known as orthographic projection, or it is basically three views. So you have a top view, a front view, and a side view of a three-dimensional object, but it's shown in two dimensions. This class is two-dimensional drafting, and we can draw it in a way that still represents what the three-dimensional object would look like, but using two dimensions. So once again, you have a front view, and this is an angle bracket, so it's just an L-shaped bracket. But what's interesting about this bracket is that there are some holes in it, some circles or some cutouts all the way through the material. So this material is 1/2 inch thick, and if I zoom in on it a little bit, you can see that there is a hole here, there is a hole here, and there's another hole right here, but you're looking down on the top of it. So what you're looking at is the very top view of our object, and there is a surface in there, and the edges of that hole form a surface, and they're represented with those light blue dashed lines called hidden lines. This is a communicating something to you that there is an object or some type of feature below the surface that you're seeing. And then the dashed long, short, and long line is known as a center line. And you can see those take place in these circles here, and they signify a circle. If it was a square, it wouldn't need a center line, but because it's a circle, you can put a center line, center mark in them. And it's just a crosshair. And then over here represents a circle, and it's a crosshair, but you can't see the other crosshair because you're looking at it just from a top perspective. So you wouldn't see the other side of the crosshair. But this just lets you know the circle goes all the way through the surface of that piece right there. Then down here, it shows again the same thing. And then if you translate these lines down here, it shows the hole going through there again. And something of note here, in the first couple of weeks of our course, we practiced with the basic geometric shapes. We practiced with line command. We showed you guys how to create these arcs, these circles, the offsets. But now I want to show you how to set up layers, because if you know how to set up layers, it can help you in your drawing. And if I click on this layer called construction lines, it uses these construction lines as reference points that you can turn on and off. And just like I could turn off, for instance, this definite points layer, it takes away the actual visible shape that we drew. If I take away the hidden lines layer, it takes away the hidden lines. But let's go back to take those construction lines off. And I'm going to come out of this file, and I'm going to open up a different file so I can show you guys how to set up your layers. So I'm going to go back to the AutoCAD web app, and I'll discard those changes. And let's open up the layers practice. Okay, so you can see some lines in there that I was practicing with earlier. I'm going to delete those. Delete. And you can see that I even had some layers already set up. I'm going to delete the layers so I can build them back for you, and you guys can see how I build them and how I set up the layers. So when you first log into your AutoCAD web application and you're in the drawing screen, it's going to look like this. And you're most likely going to be in views, and you're in the model view. But if you come down here to properties, the first thing you want to do is set up your line type by layer. This lets us choose different line types for each one of our layers. And so like I was showing you in our first example, the construction lines are continuous lines, just one solid line. The center lines are a long dash and then another long line. And the hidden lines are a dashed line. Now, when you're in the object properties, in this properties tab, make sure that your line type is checked by layer. I think the default setting is continuous, which makes all your lines just one continuous solid line. But we want to be able to differentiate the different types of lines that we're going to use, because those different types of lines communicate different things about your technical drawing. So please make sure that you have the by layer label there checked. So we'll do that. And I also want you to change your line type scale from 1.0 to 0.5. This works better for the types of drawings we do, because we do small scale drawings. Right now, when we're in the imperial units measurement and we're doing only a few inches by a few inch size objects, this line type scale of 0.5 is a better choice to use. So first set up your properties by layer and then a 0.5 line type scale. And then you can come over here to layers, and let's say we want to make a new layer. And we can call this one visible lines. I'm just going to type in visible lines. And then over here, you can select the color. I'm going to leave it white. And the properties of this particular layer is, if we got to click on it, make sure it's white, check, and then let's click off for a second and then click on our visible lines, and it shows us it is continuous. So it's one solid line. So that's good. Let's make another layer. We're going to call this one construction lines. And I'm going to make this one yellow. And then let's check the properties. Construction lines layer is continuous. The line type is continuous. That's good. Let's make another layer called hidden lines. And I'm going to change this one to light blue. I want you guys to have the same colors that I have in this drawing, okay? So let's come down here and let's look at hidden lines. I checked hidden lines to make sure it's selected. And I need to change the line type for this one to actually say hidden lines right there. And one more layer, make one more. Let's call this one center lines. And I'm going to change this one to bright green. And I'm going to come down here to the line type, and I am going to change it to a center line. It actually has its own line command. So we're going to make sure that we have all those set up, and then let's see here. We have all of our lines set up. We can go through and we can check. Visible lines are continuous. Hidden lines are actually, let's make sure that's right. Make sure that's hidden lines. And construction lines are continuous, and center lines are going to be hidden. Nope, center line's not hidden. Center lines are going to be center. Okay. And then we check our properties again by layer. And our color is also by layer. So if we come back here to layers tab and we select a, for instance, visible line to start, and we click on our line command, we can click anywhere in space and do a drag and drop of, let's just call it 10. And you can see it's very small. Like I said, our scale is very small. And I can keep zooming in and escape. And I can look at that line, and yep, it sure is a continuous line, 10 units long. Now let's say I want to do a construction line. I can come up here and just select that in the layers and do the same thing. I can start a line right here and just use some polar tracking and stretch it out to also be 10 units and click there. And that is a solid line. Let's try the center line. Let's see what that looks like if we stretch that one out 10 units. Let's click right there. Let's go over 10. Escape, and you can see there's a long, a dash, and then another long. So long dash, long dash, long dash. That's your center line. That signifies centers of circles. And then the final one I want to show you is the hidden lines. I can do the same thing. I can come over here and click out in space and drag over 10 units, click enter, and you can tell that that one is a dashed line. That represents something behind the surface that you see if you were to stand in front of the object we're drawing. So that's how you set up your layers that are kind of become very useful when we continue drawing in the rest of this trimester. I hope you found this useful. Thank you.